Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Coffee and Card Day. I was just closing my blinds across the way. Otherwise, I get too much glare on my glasses here. And speaking of glasses, I'm going to change to my crafting glasses. Bifocals, I have to keep going up and down. So it's crazy. So I have just readers for my up close work here. Actually, yeah, these are prescription readers, but I have readers all over the house, right? A lot of you do, I'm sure. Comes with the age. Yeah. So what can we say? All right. So don't forget to hop on and say hello. Well, you're already on if you're seeing me. But anyway, say hello. Tell us where you're from. Nice to know who's joining us. I can't see unless you leave a comment. I see the number of people watching, but I don't see who's watching. So please say hello and reach out to maybe people you're familiar seeing. Okay. A lot of you are regulars, and it's kind of nice that, oh, Sue might remember Nadine, or Judy might remember Lois, or whatever. Just reach out, say a little hello to people you recognize. It's kind of fun. Okay. We're like a little community. Stamping and Art Crafts has brought us together, and it's a great thing that we get to share, right? We're very fortunate to have this. So, yeah. So all good. Good morning, Shirley and Tanya. Yeah. Nice to see you this morning. Um, yeah, I'm going to just say a quick reach out to our Australian friends, especially on the East Coast. There is what they call a cyclone. We call it a hurricane, heading their way toward Brisbane. I have a friend who lives in that area. And so she said they're on a cyclone watch, and it's getting really windy and a lot of rain. So keep them in your hearts and prayers and wish them well. A lot of people have already lost power. It's a category 2 right now, I believe. So thinking about our friends out that way and hoping everybody will be safe. Okay. So nice to see. Hi, Bridget. Oh, nice to see you. Oh my gosh, Bridget, you are up early. I know there's a 4-hour difference. Oh my gosh. I've been meaning to call you, but I always have to consider the time. I don't want to call too early. But nice to see you on. Hi, Joanne. We have some Daisy members on here. That's great. Great. Some people have taken advantage of that join offer during celebrations. And I had several people join my team and are enjoying that discount moving forward. So it doesn't mean that you can't join any other time, but it was a great deal. Okay, you got some extra stuff, but you can still join for $99 and get $125 worth of product and free shipping and a paper pumpkin kit and catalogs. So you get a lot of stuff still. It's all good. Hi, Patty, another Daisy team member, and Susan. Oh, this is like a team meeting here almost. Okay, nice to see you all this morning. Okay, I hope everything is well where you all are. We are going to do a little fun fold today. It's funny, yesterday I was on my laptop here in my craft room and I typed up a Facebook post, and it was saying, well, I wasn't sure which card I was going to do, a simple fun fold or a clean and simple card. Clean and simple cards have a lot of white space. It can be actual white, or it could be just blank space, meaning white space, meaning blank space. And I like those kind of cards as well. I'm not one for too much stuff going on in a card. I do like to kind of keep moderate to simple. And so clean and simple cards are fun, also very classy looking. And so I wasn't sure which one I was going to do. So I actually said, okay, well, any votes on which one? And then later on, I went to look, oh, I wonder if anybody chimed in. And I didn't even see the post. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. So I don't know, something happened. Anyway, I'm doing the fun fold. Maybe next week we'll do the clean and simple unless something else pops up. We'll see. Actually, no, next week we are not going to be on Friday for Coffee and a Card because I'm going to be in Raleigh at this on stage Stampin' Up! Convention. So I will be getting some get to see some new products. I'll get some gifts of some new products. I don't know what yet. We'll get the new catalog, and we'll get to learn a lot of what's happening with Stampin' Up. So I can't wait to share all that with you when I get back. And who knows, maybe I'll just hop on Facebook for just a couple minutes and do a quick live from convention. All right, live on location. Be like the weather people. Whatever. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, hi, Nadine. So glad you could watch today. So glad. All right. So, Nadine, I was thinking of you because the card I'm using is boho blue. I know you and some of my other friends are big fans of blue. And boho blue is going to be retiring soon. So with the new catalog, that collection of in colors is going to be gone. Let me show you here. So these colors are retiring. Okay, the copper clay, pebble path, wild wheat, boho blue, and the moody mauve. Okay, so chime in. Those people who are on, type in which was your favorite color out of all of these. Which was your favorite? I have to say my favorite, well, the one I used the most, I guess favorite, was boho blue. And I loved the moody mauve and pebble path for certain things. Pebble path was nice because it was that brownish gray, and it wasn't, when you wanted a dark color, but you didn't want the stark black or basic gray, it just had a little bit more character. And a lot of people didn't like wild wheat, but I did like it, especially with black. I don't know. I just really like that. Actually, it looks pretty nice with mossy meadow here too. Anyway, I always want to say mellow moss because that was the first moss color we had. So I always have to catch myself. Mossy meadow. So these colors will be retiring. And the inks and the paper, anything related to the in colors goes first. Gets once the last chance list, it goes on there. It's only while supplies last. The re-inkers, make sure you have re-inkers for the colors that you like the best. And stock up on the cardstock. Speaking of cardstock, I just want to mention that we all got news the other day that with the new catalog, cardstock prices are going to increase quite a bit, especially the white. It's going to be packaged differently. White is only going to come in packs of 24 instead of 40 now, and the price is going to be significantly increased. So I would say stock up on your cardstock before May 6th. That's when the new catalog comes out. That's when the new pricing starts. So a lot of people are stocking up. I suggest you too, if there's some colors that you really love or something that you really need. Okay, so let's put those colors aside. And I came across, this is not a new fold. This is something that's been done before, but I haven't done it on a live, I don't think. But anyway, it's always good to see old favorite projects done with new products, right? So, all right, so let's see. Wild wheat grows on you. Yeah, it does. It does. Finally, when it's grown on us, then it's retiring, right, Susan? Okay, Shirley likes boho blue, wild wheat copper clay. Okay. All right. Yeah, so all, they all work. Sometimes I think this collection of colors, except for the blue, took a little while for people to get used to, but then it was really nice, especially when you have designer paper that goes along with it. Then it kind of really shows off how you can use it. So I came across this card that I had done a while ago, and it's a fun fold that opens this way, this little flap, and then this opens up on top like this. And it really shows off a lot of your designer series paper. I'm going to do something a little different with it that includes a little bit more stamping, and I'm using the Mixed Florals stamp set and dies and the Mixed Media Florals Designer Series paper. So this one, like I said, the only stamping on here is the sentiment and the inside, but I'm going to actually do some stamping on the front. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to actually start with a full sheet of cardstock for this, because this is all, this flap is all attached. So you can imagine if we squared all this off, it's going to be one full sheet of cardstock. So that's kind of nice that you don't have to glue and piece things together and add extra thickness. So, so you have to pick your designer series paper according to what you want to feature or to be a background to your more bold patterns. Okay, so let's get started on that. I'm actually going to do mine, at least my first one, in a vertical orientation. And I'm going to be using the flowers here from the Mixed Floral. I already have that on my block. And I'm going to, like I said, be doing boho blue. Here is the Mixed Florals paper. I'm using my boho blue cardstock for my base. And I don't have all the patterns in this packet, but I do have them. Oh, I may as well just show you in the big pack. I have it open. I'm sure I showed you these at some point before, but in case you missed it, okay, this is kind of nice because you can cut this into 6. You can get more than 6 cards out of this. If you just cut them into 6 this way, you can use these as borders on the side or these on the bottom. Or, you know, you can cut them in many different configurations and get a lot out of it. All right, so if you cut a piece here like a 4 by 5 1/4, then you could just put your sentiment right here and you have put that on a card and you've got a nice card in no time flat. Okay, the back is this background blue, this little watercolor look that I'm going to be using on my card today. And then we have some more with the pinks, a little bit of blues and the greens on the back. I love these sketchy ones with the watercolor look like they're coloring them. Just really, really fun. I just love that. And this nice soft stripe. And then the greens with the coral and a bold black and white image. And then just this black and white image that you can use just as is, or you can use some pencils to color them in or watercolor, you know, do the stamp and blends. You have a nice bold look over here, a nice contrast to that. And then you have this pattern here, which also has the sketch with the watercoloring in there, and then just a darker black with the white flowers on there. So it is mixed. It's mixed media, mixed florals for sure. Lots of color there. All right. Let me grab my paper here. So I didn't do any cutting or scoring yet because I wanted to show you how to go about doing that. All right, so let me focus in on here. With your trimmer, which I buried under my paper. Okay, we're going to score this in half in both directions. Hold on one second. I wonder if I could raise this up a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't mean to make you dizzy. I don't have like this automatic thingy. I have to unscrew it. Okay, I think that's better if I straighten it out, especially. Okay. So we're going to score this in half. So that's going to be 4 1/4. Move your blade out of the way. Be sure you're not cutting. And then turn it, and we're going to score it the other direction at 5 1/2. Okay, and then we have those 4 quarters, rather, that we're going to, let me compare to the model here. This is retired DSP, by the way. This was done a long time ago. I loved this. Of course, it's the Lost Lagoon, right? Anyway, so if you can imagine, this is where we're going with this. So we have our card base here. This is going to be our card, actual card base. And then one of these is going to be the flap, depending on if you want your card in a horizontal orientation. Then we're going to cut this little flap over here. Because I'm doing it with a vertical orientation, I'm going to, you could do it this way as well. Then your card's going to open this way, but that seemed a little awkward to me. So I want my card to open this way, and I'm going to want the flap to be up here. Does that make sense? So I'm going to cut the flap out of this side. So the left side if you want the horizontal, the right side if you want the vertical. Either way, it's the same process. We're going to measure a 1/2 inch. So I'm cutting on this side. I want to measure a 1/2 inch from the edge and a 1/2 inch from the center score. I'm just going to get my pencil and make a little mark. I'm going to use my trimmer up here to mark that. And it doesn't have to be super perfect, but just mark that 1/2 inch there. This is 4 1/4. I'll go in 1/2 inch to 3 3/4. Just putting a little mark there. Now I'm going to cut from that mark down to the 1/2 score line here. Okay, so I know you can't see that mark, but trust me, I didn't want to make it too dark. I'm just going to cut down to here on both sides. Or you can start from here and go up, either way. But use the little line on the side of your blade there. All right, so you're only cutting to here. We're going to do the same thing on the other side where I marked that 1/2 inch. Actually, what I forgot to do first, but I'm going to try to do it now, is we should cut a 1/2 inch off of the top here, right? Because that's going to give us this extra space over here. So before you did that, cut that extra 1/2 inch off. So I'm going to carefully do that here without ripping these pieces. Actually, this isn't going to matter because that's getting cut off anyway. So I'll just move that out of the way. I'm going to cut that 1/2 inch off. Phone calls are starting again. Sorry, I have my phone jack in here and it rings from the base, so I can't even take the handset and move it. So we'll just have to deal with that. Okay, so this is coming off, and also this part's going to come off. Right, so I'm going to, again, put it in my trimmer. I'm going to just cut down here and here. I'm going to be sure to stop where I cut right there. Okay. Then I'm just going to pick up my blade and do the same thing over here. If you want, you could do that with a scissor if you prefer. I like getting nice, straight, clean cut. It's right here anyway, so why not? Okay, so here's the bases of our card. We are going to, oh, hi from Australia. Hi, Leslie. I mentioned Australia and the cyclone that's coming. I wonder if you're on the East Coast or not. Hope you're safe. Thanks for joining in. It's West Australia. Okay, gotcha. All right, so you're safer there. It's so late, though. You're up late. Okay, now one other thing we have to do is we're going to cut this down just a little bit. Now, you could have done it at the same time, but I just wanted to show you the reason why and how, and that way it kind of helps you remember a little bit better how it all works. If I went to fold this over, it's going to be bulky up here. It's not going to really fold over because it's exactly the same height as this. So what we want to do is we're actually going to cut that down just a hair less. I mean, really just a hair. So I won't even give you a measurement. It's that small. So one thing I will do is just go over my, from the groove to where the measurements begin, just that little bit there. It's like less than a 16th of an inch even. So just enough for the flap to fit over the actual card base. So here I go. I'm going to do that again. Like I said, you can do this the first time around, but I just wanted to kind of show you, understand the why. Okay, see how much I cut? Just that little hair. All right, and this piece is hanging. I'll just use my scissors for that. And from here, it's just decorating the card. Garnish it with your bone folder. Okay, now since I cut down here, I have a little lip where the blade pushed into the paper. So I like to push that back so it doesn't look ragged. And I'm going to fold that and then fold this. I'm going to do the same thing, straightening out those edges. It's not a default in your blade. It's just physics. Your blade is pushing into the paper. So it's going to push those fibers down a bit. So sometimes you just want to flatten that out. Okay, so now my flap is fitting over this piece here. All right, so now with my vertical orientation, the flap lifts up this way, and then my card opens left to right the way I like it. It can go the other way. It's okay. But so that's what I like to do. So we're going to put some designer series paper in here. And I'm using, like I said, I'm using the background blue wash look because we're going to put the flowers on there as a focal point. And so it's the back of this. So I already cut one from my sample. I'll show you it after. And I have these left over. So I could certainly use these as a focal point on another card. And I used another piece. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, I cut one of these pieces that's going to go on the inside here. See, it makes like a nice border when you open the card. And this is going to be my inside piece. So these are your standard 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to glue those down on the inside. Then we can decorate the front. Come on. Oh boy. I think this one might or might not be better. Who knows? Like I said once before, I use my more full bottles of glue when I have people stamping here. So they don't have to be annoyed and shaking it down all the time. So I just use the ones that are low and do the shaking. Maybe it's burning some calories, right? Did you see my post the other day about cranking my die cut machine doesn't count as exercise? Well, maybe shaking the glue helps. Maybe that's part. Put it all together. Who knows? You could burn a couple calories. Who knows? Maybe not enough to work off the chocolate or peanuts or whatever that we eat while we're crafting, right? Gotta have something. Okay. Jacksonville. Oh, hi, Lynn. Okay. And we have a sunny day today too. Yesterday was cloudy and very windy as well. I think a lot of people had wind yesterday. Okay, these are going away for another time. Put them away for another day. Now, the center of this, because I've cut away a lot of the edges, as you can see, the center is white. And so obviously, unless you want to do some stamping on that, you're really not going to use it for anything unless you use the back. So typically, I think I would have, my first card, I used these going in a vertical direction. But because I want to use this up, and I think it'll be okay going horizontally here, so I'm going to not cut this away and hide the flowers. I'm going to strategically cut the part that is the white on the back side. So I'm not messing up anything. So that's going to go here. So it's already 4 inches. I'm going to cut it to 5 1/4. And then again, I have another one of these pieces to make other cards with. So you really can get a lot out of one sheet of this paper. Right? And I still have this part too. Okay. I'll glue that to the front. And then the flap is going to be our focal point, of course. Like I said, if you wanted to, you could just do that, right? Pretty. I would maybe put a border of another color around there, and that could be your card, just like that. Maybe I'll do another one like that next. Okay, so I'm seeing here that I might have goofed a little bit, got a little farther than 1/2 inch on this side and a little short of 1/2 inch over here. So I'm just going to make an adjustment and cut that down a little bit. Probably was rushing and not watching very carefully, just to even it out. I wonder how many of you noticed that. Oh, neaten up that cut. Okay, that's better. More even. All right, I'm now going to stamp these pretty flowers here. Oh, I already have it on my block. Silly me. I was wondering, where did that go? And then we're going to color them in with some blends. Real simple. Now, I used this for the first time last night, and I was careful to wash it before I did use it. But sometimes it still takes a little bit more use to get the clearest of stamping from it. But because I'm coloring it in, a lot of that's going to be hidden, and the sketchiness of this is just a style. So if something looks a little sketchy, not as clear of a line that I want, I don't think it's going to matter, to be honest. Okay. Oh, well, that came out very nice. All right. Turn that off, and then we'll get to coloring. The coloring on this goes so quickly. I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow. I got it right. And I like to start with my lighter colors first, because if I do the dark and then my light marker goes over the dark, then I might get some dark color on my light color marker. So I'm going to start with the flowers first. I'm using Daffodil Delight, the actual petals part of the flower. Okay, dark Daffodil Delight. I'm going to do for the centers. I'm going to just put some little dots where those dots are. And maybe now I can get a little closer for you. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to put a little bit of the dark around some of the petals just to give it some little shading, especially where one petal is meeting up with the other and where there might be some shadowing. So again, think of where your light source might be. If it's coming this way, then there might be shadows over here. So just doing that, and then maybe over here, if there's more light coming on here, the tops of those might be more bright. And maybe a little bit in here. It really doesn't matter a whole lot. Just as long as you get some shading in there, it'll look more natural. Get some lines and go over it with the light. And you might not see it blend right away, but give it a minute for those colors to soak into each other. And I'm even going to leave some little streaks of white in there because you will see that on the designer paper too, for that little sketchy look. I'll color this in to blend those colors, but then I'm going to go over it again with a little bit of brown to make that a little bit darker. So I'll bring that a little closer. Do you see how I left a little bit of white streaks, and you can see some of the shading in there, so it looks a little more natural. Okay, so I have light pecan pie here. I'm going to touch up a little bit more on those speckles. Add a little bit of shading down here. All right, now I'm going to do some boho blue. I'll do dark centers to the flowers. See how quickly this goes? It looks so nice. I just love them. Oh, Lancaster. Hi, Dolores. Nice to see you here. And Nosley, am I pronouncing that properly? Okay, thank you. Good morning, Lydia, another Daisy member. And Lisa, I'm happy to see a lot of new names here. Yay. Welcome, welcome. And if you're watching the replay, welcome as well. Now I'm going to go over that with the light. Again, just going with that sketchy look. It's okay to have a little bit of white specks in there for highlights. Don't press hard on the tip. That tip gives you some nice, can get into little lines and crevices. It's going to be very helpful when I do the stems. In Mossy Meadow, of course. What do you think? Would these be forget-me-nots? I don't know. I guess whatever color you color them might dictate what flower you want them to be. Okay, coming along so pretty, right? Okay, now on to the Mossy Meadow. Starting with the dark for the highlights, and then I'm going to go over it with the lighter. And again, I'm going to do just follow the lines there that are already on the stamp. And then things like the underneath part of that leaf, I'll do darker. Do a little shading on the bottom, maybe. Okay. And then the light Mossy Meadow. This is where that tip really comes in handy. Don't press down or go real hard on it. I like to hold it sideways. And if I need a little wider coloring, I'll press a little bit, but it's going to be on the side. So I'm not going to compromise the point of that tip. Get right up to the tip of that leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to actually do the stems in the light as well. Again, that tip, really, really handy. And as you want it thinner, just lift up the pressure. There you go. Now you can decide if you want to go over those other lines. I did on my other card, so I will too. And my tip is in good shape here. So, those other little stems just touching very, very, very lightly. Okay, yeah. Isn't that pretty? I love it. I guess these flowers could be black-eyed Susans, maybe echinacea if you do it a different color. I want to add a little bit more dark to here, dark daffodil light. It does lighten up a little bit as it dries. There we go, a little bit more contrast to those flower centers. All right, now we're going to die cut that out. So this die cut set will cut pieces to the flowers, little greenery stem, and you have 3 cute little ladybugs. They are adorable. And you have a die for each of those. So these are, this is a separate one that some of my friends popped out the other day. I will, you know what? Let me just show you that right now. I'm going to just die cut that just so you can see it. I'm going to do that in the Mossy Meadow. I'm not using it on this, but since I have it here, let me just show you what it's going to look like. It's beautiful. I was at a workshop at some of my friends in New York, and I brought stuff for everyone to play with. I said, okay, here's some dies. Just cut what you want. I'll use them up later, and then, if you decide you like it, then you can order it. Okay. So here we go. Oh, let me get my brush. Hold on. Okay, I have this larger brush that I had from years ago, but your Take Your Pick tool has a brush attachment to it that you can use to do the same thing here. This helps loosen the die from the paper from the die, and also pops out those little bits there. Okay. Let's just pop these little holes to loosen it some more. Okay. It's so delicate, I'm afraid. I don't want to pull it too much. Here we go. Just very gently. Here we are. Okay, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I have to make something with that. All right. And of course, you can just cut pieces of it if you want just a smaller, thinner spray, or separate them out a little bit. So be really pretty. All right. Just wanted to show you that. So much better when you see it being used than in the catalog, right? Or online. Okay, so we're going to cut this out with our die. So here's the little ladybugs. You actually have doubles of the ladybugs, so you can run a bunch of them at one time. So of course, this outline fits this, and this one fits the tulips. And I will tape this down with some washi. All right. We have our plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 3. Be sure to be flipping these almost every time you use them, and they will not warp so quickly on you. And then another plate 3. I'll run that through. Very carefully pull away from, especially your stamped part. These are so new, I haven't even put them on my magnet sheets yet. And here we are. Oh, I just think it's so pretty. Thinking about getting the set, but might just have to get it now. I don't know whether to say thank you or sorry, Renee. But if it pushes you to one side of the fence, I guess to make a decision is a good thing, right? Yeah, it's so pretty. I actually got the paper first, and then I said, no, I need the stamp set and the dies. All right, so I was playing around a little bit on this, and this is just my silly little thing. When I die cut something like this, and it's a lot of detail, and the inner part is white, okay, still white, I don't like so much putting it on a color where the white shows off too much. So something like this, I like to mount on white, so that the flower itself will show up and not so much the white background, right? So I didn't want to just have total white on here, which I could, but I just wanted it to be something a little special. So I was rummaging through my drawer of some white scraps to decide what I wanted to do. And I came across this scrap of an embossed, I thought, well, maybe I'll do some embossing. I had some scraps of embossed white in here. This is an old pattern that we don't have anymore. But it was thin. But I originally imagined this whole thing being embossed. So I put it down and said, well, let me see what that looks like. And I said, you know what? I like it with just the stripe and not filling the whole thing. So that way we have more contrast from the white to the plain cardstock and the DSP and then the plain cardstock again. So I really loved this pattern, but it's not available anymore. So I'm going to show you with a different pattern. I did my other one with the tile. Where am I? Here we go. Here we go. Distressed tile. And I ran some off with the eyelet, and I ran some off with the cane weave. And I figured any of those could work very nicely. So since my other card, I use a distressed tile, I'll show you that later. I was thinking this could be cute with the eyelet on there. I should bring it a little closer maybe that you can see that. Or the cane weave. All right, and I'm going to go with the cane weave on this one, just because it kind of reminds me more of a garden. Just you might have some chairs out in the garden or on the deck that would have a cane leaf pattern. So this piece is going to be, let me just make sure I'm correct here, 5 inches. Yep, 5 inches by 2. Now, I do suggest that you cut your paper first and then emboss it, because once it's embossed and you go to cut it, you can get some ragged edges. But when I do have to cut it, rather than using my trimmer with the blade that's kind of tearing through here, I like to use my guillotine cutter. So I'm going to step away for a second and just cut this down to 2, because it comes down onto it and gives a better slice if something has texture to it already. But I typically would cut the piece first and then emboss it. So excuse me 1 second. Okay, see, nice and quick. And oh, I have to cut it to 5. It was 5 1/4. Now you could decide if you wanted to do it even less. You could leave a border at the top and bottom. That's what I did on my other card. But just for something different here, I'm going to go all the way to the top and to the bottom. It looks like I have to cut just another little hair off. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. But this is one that can actually look pretty nice on the flip side too, if you want to see more of those, not really diamond shapes, but it's more of a flat look on that side. And then you actually see the caning on this side. But sometimes I've used it the other way around. You can go either way. And again, with embossing, things that are embossed have texture. Make sure you use extra glue, especially on the parts that are raised underneath. So that's where I'm making sure I'm getting my glue, because there's less surface area holding it on. And just so I don't drip any glue, I'm going to open this up and do it this way. And then you can use a grid paper if you wanted to. Make sure it's centered. And then, of course, to go with the big D, the dimensionals. Remember, when you're using the blends, it will go through the back of the paper. So keep that in mind. I'm going to make sure I use plenty here. One there, and I'm going to use some of the edges as well with my blue scissors that are for sticky things and glue. Blue glue. Okay, even this little leaf over here, I want to put a little extra thing on. I don't want it pulling up. There we go. Maybe a little one over there. There. Yeah, Nadine loves the grass. I know. She was our host for our workshop, and she was able to die cut a bunch of them while I was there. So pretty. Okay, that's going to go there. And I'm going to tie a ribbon around there. One of my favorite ribbons. I guess maybe because of the size. I love this this 1/4 inch, or maybe it's 3/8. I don't remember, but I don't know. I just love the size of it. I love how it's nice and white. I love the little diagonal stripes on it. And I am going to just tie a knot go. Fabric scissors. An angle cut. An angle cut. This is a ribbon combo that comes with Petal Pink. It's called Petal Pink and White 1/4 inch diagonal trim combo pack. So it's just so pretty, silky looking, a little bit of a shine, shimmer to it. Not shimmer as in glittery, but satiny looking, I guess you could say. Right, to secure that, of course, we need a glue dot or two. Oop. Put that right under the knot. I'm going to move this down just a little bit because I'm going to put a sentiment across there. But, you know, this card is so pretty, you really don't even need a sentiment if you just want to send a random card to somebody thinking of you or something. And put one underneath here. Now, if you didn't want this to show, of course, you could put another piece of either embossed paper or designer series paper, but I was keeping it a little bit more plain. Okay, kind of like that. More simple. Okay, so I used, since this set doesn't have any sentiments on it, I went to another set. Let me get my scissors put away here. A set that I haven't used yet, except for the sentiment. Beautiful butterflies. Just got this one about a week or so ago. And so I'm going to use the small hello because that could be for anything. I like keeping some of my cards generic so I can have a bunch to go to. Hello, happy birthday. Hello, thinking of you. Hello, heard you're not feeling well. Hope you get well soon. So lots of thank you or whatever. All right, so what I already did was I heat embossed that hello in white, and I'm going to cut it out and put it right on there. So while I was stamping one, I did 4 so that number one, I could, if one doesn't come out, you've got extra, or if, no, I have extra for another card. Okay, so I'm just going to, I could do a banner cut on this if I wanted to, but I'm going to fussy cut around the hello. It's also a look that I like a lot. Okay, you don't want pointy edges, so I'm rounding that off there. And just a simple little, nice little hello there. We'll put that up with dimensionals. I think I want the mini for these. And remember, if you are going to overlap, I'm not, but if you are going to, well, I'm overlapping a little bit, but not where the dimensionals are. Make sure you don't put dimensionals there, and then you just do some glue there. All right, make sure you have, because you don't want it to be lopsided, because this side is already up on dimensionals. Okay, what do you think? Is it pretty? Okay, thanks. I'm glad you guys like that. And so it will open this way. If you wanted to put, you could put a little sentiment here too. So it's a lot of options of things you could do. You can cover this, like I said, and when you open this, you have more flowers over here. Okay, so let me just clean this up a little bit here. So yeah, here's the one I did first. I just didn't put the sentiment on there yet, but what a difference that makes, right? Just having that nice dark sentiment in the white. I just love that. And so this is the one that I said had the more vertical look to the splotches, but I don't think it matters much. It goes either way, right? All right, so that's that. And just very quickly, let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's 5 to 11. If I were to do this, let's just try something real quick here. Remember I said if I wanted to do a horizontal card, then I would cut that flap on the left side. Okay, so that way my card would open this way. I'll push down those edges. And this flap would go over. Now I had to cut that a little bit again. Just a tiny bit. I'm going to turn it this way, easier to get to. I'm just going to the other side of my groove there. Okay, that was really, oops, I went a little crooked. Oh boy. So there's that little piece. See if I could do better up here. Or just use your scissors if you like. This is Calypso Coral. I thought this would look nice with the tulips. So this would be like that, and this would be like that. Put down those rough edges. And then if you want this flap to have a whole white piece on it, which I'm going to try stamping the tulips on here, then you want this piece to be 3 inches by 4 3/4. 3 by 4 3/4. If you want that to go on the front flap with a little border. So let's just see what these tulips will look like. Maybe I could color them in. Now this tulip set is quite big. Remember the cover sometimes is not a full size. So this is 75% of the actual size of the stamp. So obviously I'm not going to get the whole thing on there, but I want to get the tops anyway. So I thought I could just do this, and then we could put our sentiment there. So let's see how that goes. This needs a big block for sure. I like to take my pad to the block when I have a big one. Much easier to hold the stamp pad instead of the big block going like this. Okay, like I said, I did wash this, but this is the first time I'm using it. Now let's see here. Okay, pretty, right? So let me do a quick little coloring here. I brought Daffodil Delight for those little flowers. I'm going to do that first because it's my lighter color. I'll put just a little bit of dark in the middle there. All right, now let's do some coral on the tulips. Tulips are one of those flowers that come in so many different colors, right? It's amazing. I'm just going over the lines, The inside, the bottom a little bit. Maybe a little in there. You can always go back and add more detail if you want, the darker color for shading purposes. You kind of, it's a work in progress. Kind of keep tweaking it. All right, then the lights. And I'm using the side. I'm not smashing the tip, using the side of this brush, and I'm just using the tippy tip for the detail areas. And as the ink gets wet again, it will blend. You can add the same color over again and get even more shading. So this is really dark down there. I'm going to add a little bit more to the middle and keep the top lighter. Oh, it's so pretty. Like I said, first time I'm using this. I love it. Okay, then let's do the stems and the leaves. I'll do a little dark highlight first. See how quick it could go when you're not worried too much about it? Especially these sketchy lines. You almost want to have a little bit of an wiggly hand. Okay, that's the stem up there. You have to kind of make sense of these stems down here. What goes to little flowers and what goes to the tulips. Okay, let's bring in the light. There we go. There we go. Ooh, this is coming out nice if I say so myself. I think it's so pretty. It's pretty colors. Okay, and then this goes up to here. Yep, Renee, I think you need this. Oh, it is so pretty. I love it in the coral. This was my daughter's wedding colors, the coral. And yes, I made her invitations way back. When was that? Oh boy. Yeah, like 12 years ago. Can't believe it's that long. Okay, one more here. And I'll get these little guys, these little baby stems. Okay, now this line doesn't go all the way down, but I want that stem to meet the other leaf. Otherwise, look like it's just hanging there. Look, is that pretty? So quick and easy, just so fun. And then that can go on there, and then we want our sentiment. I'm going to use another one of those hellos. Okay, I'm going to put that here, and you know what? I might just maybe I'll make a banner out of it. I don't know yet. I could always change my mind. I'll make an angle cut on this side. some more angle cut over there. And ta-da! I think I'll do that because it'll fill up more of that white space, right? Okay, so let's put that on. And tip the like button. Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, that definitely would be helpful. I appreciate likes and hearts, and I like to know that you like what I'm doing so that I can continue to bring you some ideas that you like. We will put this up with the dimensionals, and I'm going to have to use some black dimensionals on that this time. I know the paper's white, but this is black. I think it'll just show up less if I use the black in there. And I don't use the black quite as much, so I have lots of them. May as well use that. All right. And then we can put a ribbon on. You know what my favorite ribbon would have been for this? Black and white gingham. But we only have vanilla and black gingham. I wish we had the white. I just think that would look very sweet on here. Okay, so that's that. And then, of course, you can put on whatever designer paper you want behind there. I'm going to work on that later. Oh, you know what might be nice? Ooh, what if I'd have to glue this down really well. I don't know if I put some of this in here to show through. Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to really make sure it's secured. I don't know. I'll have to think on that. Or maybe on the inside. I don't know. I'll think about it. I will finish it up later. So in the meantime, I hope maybe either you've learned something new or you've been inspired to revisit something that you might have forgotten about, a technique or certain color schemes or something. Like I said, this could, I don't know. I think this might be a little bright for that. I'm going to have to find something that's a little busy. I'm going to have to find something that I like that's a little bit more subtle for here. Maybe an embossed piece in the back. I don't know. But I hope you are inspired to try this fold. And what I usually do is after I do a live, I post the pictures in a separate post. And then we can, as you do the projects, you can post them there too. So try it out with some new stamp sets, different colors, different embossing, whatever. Because it's nice to see maybe the same project, but tweaked a little bit, right? So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I might have missed some comments. I am going to look here, the dimensions of the card. Well, the overall card is our typical A2. So that's 5 1/4 by 4. All right. So that's what it ends up being because you're starting with your 8 1/2 by 11 piece of cardstock. Okay, so this piece is the bottom of it, and this was the top, like you saw me cutting it out. So I hope to maybe put some more dimensions and maybe some more details on my blog when I get around to that. But in the meantime, I will put some of the details in my next post, and you can add your things in your posts in the comments. And very often when I get some people putting their pictures up there, I like to do a random raffle and, give somebody a prize. So get them up there. Okay. All righty, guys. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Lorraine at stampwithlorraine.com. Visit me on my blog, stampwithlorraine.com. And if you are not already on my mailing list, you can do so from my blog, and you'll get a free tutorial as well. So thanks again for coming. Thanks again for watching the replay. And we'll see you maybe next week if I do a little quick hello from convention, but we will not have your typical coffee and a card, but I might direct you just to a different video that you might enjoy. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, if not before. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.